She said, "I hope that's not yours. It will interact with your prescription." And I thought, wow, thank you. Trust is so important when it comes to your health. Healthcare Pharmacy with 2 locations, Grand Harbor and Governor's Square, where they care about my health.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Refill and transfer prescriptions online. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky.
And UHealth, International University of Miami.
World-class healthcare in the heart of Miami.
The Light Room, your holistic sanctuary for physical and mental restoration, repair, and rejuvenation. The power that made the body heals the body. 38 Pasadora Place, Georgetown. Find us online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
There's nothing more important than your health, and seeking expert healthcare with physicians you can trust is what you deserve. UHealth, the University of Miami health system, offers peace of mind to you and your family with a first-class experience. Our patient coordinators assist with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. As South Florida's only academic-based health system, UHealth offers cutting-edge treatment, compassionate care, and life-changing results just a flight away. Learn more at umiamihealth.org/international.
Attention HR managers and business leaders. Want to boost productivity, reduce absenteeism, and show your team that their well-being matters? The Lightroom now offers custom corporate memberships designed to enhance energy and mental clarity, reduce stress, and improve overall health, creating a healthier, more focused workforce. Invest in your team's well-being because a thriving team leads to a thriving business. Visit thelightroom.ky to learn more. It's a new era in wellness.
Hello and welcome to For the Health of It. I'll be interviewing SCHMARRAH McCarthy and Ashley CROWE. We are going to be talking about honoring Women's Month. These 2 beautiful women are a couple, a partnership, and I would like our listeners to meet you all as individuals, first off. So let us know who you are and what do you do?
Well, I am Ashley CROWE, as you said. I am an actor, an artist, filmmaker, and I also work at Cayman National Cultural Foundation. But, you know, you could also say I'm a love warrior, truth seeker, and a storyteller, I guess, if you want.
Love that. Well, that all rolls up into your artisan, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a fewer titles. I'm an engineer, a part-time gym enthusiast, and a former national rugby player.
Ah. So, now that we know that about you all, what do you want people to know about the life that you all are living in Cayman? This is all off script for the moment.
Sure. Ooh, what do I want people to know about the life that we're living? I mean, just that we're living a life, I think, of happiness and love. I certainly am trying to live a life that is led with love, that also means that I'm, I don't know, seeking growth and how to become the best version of myself and aligning myself with people who are doing that as well. And I do that, I think, through my friendships, through my working relationships, and then most importantly, through my relationship with my partner.
Yeah, I think Ashley and I both try to strive to be the best versions of ourselves. And I think that when you have someone walking that path with you, it's easier. Life is an individual undertaking that you typically do in pairs. And so there's some times where we're walking the same path together. There are other times where we walk to a point and then cheer the other one on as they go to their mountain. And then there's sometimes you cheer from afar. But having someone view your life and witness your life, I think it makes it so important, and it also grounds you and we're able to remind each other, of our core values that have gotten us to this point individually and together. So yeah, I feel like it's a partnership in every sense of the word, and hopefully, I think we both strive to inspire each other and inspire ourselves to do better through that partnership.
Yeah.
So, SCHMARRAH, as a civil engineer and a business owner, what has it taken to build credibility and confidence in spaces that are very male dominated? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Purdue University, and I believe in my graduating class of a few hundred, there were a handful of women. And then once I got my master's, there were, fewer than that, and then only 3 women of color. I've been really blessed through my working career in the Cayman Islands to work with, great men and women. But I think that particularly when you're a woman in male-dominated spaces, having the confidence, which comes through experience, accreditation. I always encourage young people, no matter what job you're in, pick up a paper every couple of weeks and flip through and see what requirements and qualifications that are recommended and not just required. So I think gaining that confidence over the years has helped. And also, I find that, I will say this, I've never had an unpleasant experience with an unpleasant man that I haven't later seen that man also sort of use disparaging either remarks or actions to another person. I think that's a character issue. And sometimes as women, we personalize it and we think, oh, they don't like us. I'm like, they really don't like anyone. And we just happen to be women. And so they'll attack you for that. And they might attack another man for being short. But it's really a character issue. So I find that when you're in competent spaces and you have the confidence, a lot of times those limitations sort of fall naturally. Of course, you do have to fight, and I think as women, we're great at that. And then as you get older, you learn to take up more space, maybe not be as quote-unquote nice. I think that, it's much better, especially in those spaces, to be respected than necessarily liked. Not that you set out to sort of rub people the wrong way or have those hard confrontations. But I think building a CV and an experience that's built on respect is probably the most important.
And I just want to bring up the little hobby you have on the side of that intense workout that you do.
Yes.
I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, normally around 4, definitely.
It is not for children.
Actually, you know what I mean? It is for children. And I feel like as adults, so many of the things that we took joy in as children become labor intensive as adults. And so I encourage everybody. I like the gym. I like lifting heavy weights. I like calisthenics. I like moving my body in space. But it really is finding the way you enjoy expressing your physicality and just sort of taking it and running with it. I have a coworker who loves marathons. If marathon training was the only way to get fit, I'd never be fit because I just don't enjoy that. So I think really finding something you're passionate about physically is important. I think that we stress the mental health and the spiritual health, but we are a whole person and we exist in a body. So your physical health is really important too. So I would encourage everyone, specifically women, find what you enjoy doing, find a group to do it with, and have some fun.
And now, Miss Ashley, this is your turn. As an actress, how do you navigate visibility, vulnerability, and self-expression in a professional that often places women under intense scrutiny?
Oof, yes. Well, I mean, my industry, my field certainly does. The entertainment industry does place a lot of scrutiny on women and always has. And I mean, there is, scrutiny on men as well. I think more that maybe goes unnoticed. It's not talked about quite as much, but just I think scrutiny in general on the person, whether it is physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And what I've learned over my time as an actor, which, I started acting. I think the first show that I did was when I was 3, but professionally, it's been over a decade now. What I've learned specifically in regards to the scrutiny aspect, is that you really have to just block out the criticism that you're going to experience, because that's going to be there no matter what. Not just from others, but also my own inner critic. Mm-hmm. You know, I really have to work with, okay, well, how am I going to approach this character and this role and any of the work that I do with love and compassion and kindness and anything that, you know, I want, what do I want to get out of the world, you know, or sorry, out of the work. And the representational aspect of it is very important to me. Mm-hmm. You know, my job and my work and life as an actor, while it is fun and it really speaks to that childlike part of myself to create, there's an artistry to it. It is also a responsibility, because these are the stories that that live amongst us. These are our stories collectively as a group of people. It's not just my story. You know, I'm lending myself and my voice to sharing someone else's story, and so so being responsible in that, I think, is quite important, and I approach that with care and love and kindness, and the scrutiny, the criticism, I have to take with a grain of salt. You know, I think like with anything, and that's my work. I bring that vulnerability to it, and when I struggle within it, then I go to my support system. You know, I go to my spiritual foundation to check in. How do I need to make adjustments? Where do I need to make adjustments? Is this criticism something that I need to take on and adjust, you know, how I'm doing something, or is it not? Is this criticism of love, or is it of hate? You know, so, and that's, as I said, that's my work to decipher. But it's one that I'm very grateful to be doing, and one that's very meaningful to me, that I get to utilize my gifts in that way.
Which one do you like more? Acting? Directing?
Ooh, okay. Well, I haven't directed yet, actually.
I thought you did.
Well, kind of. I'm a co-director on a project that I'm working on. I don't have as much experience with directing. Mm-hmm. It is something that I'm interested in the future, but where I'm gaining more experience actually is producing. Yes. So I love acting. That is where I think my heart lives. If I could do that forever, I would. I love it so much. I love being able to create a character and the research that goes into it. You know, I'll never be that person, but because I'll always be me playing another character. That's kind of how I view it. But it's such an intimate experience. And each character that I play is almost becomes a new friend, or just a new person that I get to learn about and research and give life to. But with producing, what I'm learning, particularly working at Cayman National Cultural Foundation, is that producing allows me to facilitate the whole storytelling process, that whole creative process, because, you know, with film or with theater, the performing arts, you're using all of the art forms. You know, you're seeing visually, you're seeing something. So it might have, you have a set that would require paint, or, you know, whatever. You hear music or sound is involved in some way. So you have all of the different art forms that are being utilized. And to be a person that is bringing all of that together is such a joy to me, because I really value the collaborative experience. You know, similar to SCHMARRAH mentioning her background in sports, I also have a background in sports. I used to play football, and I think having that team, that understanding of what it means to be a teammate and play as part of a wider group, I really value when I'm working on a particular project. So I don't know, it's a tough question. I get to use my gifts in two different ways. I think acting allows me to be an artist and just really connect with that. Producing allows me to use my gifts and facilitate the art, facilitate creativity for other artists. Both are valuable in different ways.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what drew the two of you together?
Rub-a-dub 2019.
Actually, yes, it was Rub-a-dub.
Literally.
But,
Say more.
right? I mean, 90s soca. What more needs to be said? That's
Right.
the best genre of music
Okay.
on earth. But I think, past Rub-a-dub, I do think it's the shared values, and our partnership is very collaborative. Even in terms of what we do, it sort of builds on each other. I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Mm-hmm.
You hit my profession first. You need housing, you need infrastructure. Like, I build the world in which you live in, and I love that, to make sure that, you have sewage and water and whatnot. And then with Ashley's work, she is able to determine the type of world we live in.
Oh.
So we transition from what I do to surviving to what she does to thriving. And that's very much the dynamic. You know what I mean? Just a very collaborative effort. So I think after the initial meeting and attraction, I think that's sort of, we're like, we have these shared values, and coming from Cayman, both of us, that's a very special, unique thing. We live in a wonderful place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those places that you sort of have to be here to understand it, and just that having that common ground, I think it was sort of an easy transition.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I knew that SCHMARRAH was a gift in my life from the moment that I met her. I was like, ooh, this is different. I wasn't looking for a relationship at that time. And it was quite clear to me, like, oh, this is something else. And what it was for me is that she held up a mirror, and through that mirror, I really saw the best version of myself. And it challenged me in a lot of ways. I mean, I remember on that first date as well, she was saying she was so formal, which was different. Different than what I'm used to, and I was just so taken by it, because she was different than anyone that I'd ever been with before. And I think those differences are what really allowed me to, to just see another version of myself, that just strengthened, I think, my growth of who I want to be and what I want to do.
Yeah. I would just like to say, I might be a formal person, but I think it was less formal and more intentional. The casual way in which people pick their partners nowadays, it baffles me. And I think it's one of those things, the older you get, the person you decide to spend the most time with, outside of your coworkers, that's one of the most important decisions that shapes your emotional health, that shapes your mental health. Mm-hmm. A lot of times that can shape your physical health. So I think that is such an important decision that people need to be really thoughtful and be really honest about who you are, what you bring to the table, and not what you need, because I don't believe you should go into a relationship in a deficit, but sort of, where are my weaknesses and how can we bolster these areas? And I think a good partnership should do that. You should bridge each other's weaknesses where you can.
I'll say the last thing that I will say about that as well, because you touched on this before, SCHMARRAH, but in our relationship as well, SCHMARRAH is very much the head and I'm very much the heart. And being able to navigate what those differences mean and where we lead in different ways. Yeah. So it's really being able to have that compatibility and understanding where one might exceed the other at certain times, and finding that balance with those roles that we fill.
I love this. This is like a show for dating at the moment, right? Get off the apps.
Intentionally. Yes, get off the apps. The apps are horrific.
So, what does being a partnership, a couple in Cayman, with all the caca, what does that carry and mean for you all, and the responsibility, of it?
Yeah. I don't know if I was reading or watched a podcast, because I try and devour as much information as I can, just sort of about life. But essentially, sort of what they were saying. What were they saying?
What was this? A podcast?
Which podcast?
Yeah, no, I'm not quite sure. Sorry, can you repeat your question again?
Okay. Yeah. Being a couple, a lesbian couple in Cayman carries both meaning and responsibility. What does that visibility represent to you?
There you go. Yeah. So what they said is discrimination often doesn't survive. Confrontation is the word they're using, but I think it's sort of connection. Like in Cayman, as in a lot of places, particularly one with the deep religious grounding, you have ideas about people, and you have ideas about concepts, and then you meet the people, the person, or the group that you may not have had an understanding about, and your ideas of them naturally fall away as you develop a relationship. So I feel like in Cayman, it's sort of, it's two different things, right? Because there's always going to be a vocal minority that, they're not extreme, but they live on the edges and they're sort of loud. But in your everyday, day-to-day life, I haven't faced as much discrimination as one might think. Now, of course, there are structural, I guess, issues and to be overcome. But I have found in long form, there are very few people who I've initiated a conversation with who by the end still sort of hold a negative, I guess, opinion of me and the way I live my life. So is it fair to have to do that work? Maybe not, but those are, the cards you're handed. So I'm happy to have conversations. And I find through those long form conversations, not an IG meme, that we are able to find understanding. So sometimes it's a bit tiring, to be honest, but it's something that I am grateful for. And there are a lot of people in our community who have come before, and they might have probably did a lot more of that headwind. You know what I mean? And I hope that those in the younger generation who come after me have an easier time. And that's sort of handing it from one generation to another. And progress, as much as we would like it to change in our generation, you just do what you can do, and then you hand the baton off. So I feel like that's
anything to add, Ashley?
As we talked about the difference between the two of us, that SCHMARRAH is the head and I'm the heart. There's the more conservative answer, and then there's the more my answer.
Yeah, let it rip.
It comes with challenges. It does come with pain. But the reality is that I think pain is a part of life, and being your authentic self, I think, is extremely important. Understanding what that means, asking yourself the difficult, hard questions, I think is a part of how we live this life. And where, the answer that SCHMARRAH gave is really true, 100% true. I've learned how to have a lot more grace for people in ways that, where I staying in the city, where I actually can be in more of a bubble and be around more like-minded people who are accepting of myself and the way that I present, who I choose to be in partnership with, then I actually wouldn't be challenged in the things that are very important to me. There is a responsibility, I think, that comes with presenting in this particular way. I'm not doing it for anyone other than for myself. I'm showing up as myself authentically, and whatever challenges or obstacles kind of come along my way, then I will face that and I learn through it. But yeah, there have been certainly some challenges around our relationship that I've really had to struggle through and find grace, both for myself, certainly for SCHMARRAH, and for the people that might involve. And I'm going about it because we live in such a small community in Cayman. I'm looking at all of the different sides to it. I'm asking more questions rather than making judgments on why someone might feel this way, And where we are very fortunate about, like, I certainly have to shout out Chantel Day and Vicky Bodden for legally giving us the opportunity to be able, like, for the legal right to be together, because they had to fight in order for us to be able to have the legal benefits of being in partnership. And now what we face more of the emotional, I don't know, that we can't face the emotional fallout of that. And not that that's easier, it's just that everyone has a different responsibility. And again, I think figuring out how to show up as authentically as yourself is going to come with challenges, no matter who you are. No matter who you are, or how you present, you're going to face challenges. It's how you show up to that and who you want to be doing that. So I'm grateful for it. Had I stayed in a big city, I wouldn't have a deeper compassion with who Ashley Crowe wants to show up as in this life. It doesn't mean that I excuse anyone else's behaviors. It just means that I have to be that much more myself, that much more seeking out love. That faith and my spiritual connection is very much a part of that. Even if someone is not speaking the same language as I am finding some sort of common ground. And that 100% is a spiritual journey.
I love that. Now, you're going to have to talk like somebody on crack.
Oh, no.
For the next two answers.
Okay.
Because I'd like to get this one and then another one. The theme this year is Give to Gain for Honoring Women's Month. What have you given in choosing authenticity, and what have you gained as a result?
Come on crack, SCHMARRAH.
I mean, to choose authenticity, you have to give vulnerability, which is very scary. You have to let people see who you are.
Your heart, yeah.
Your heart, right? And what I've gained through that is freedom. Because very early on, when you're dealing with challenging issues, you realize that you cannot die by people's criticism, but nor can you live by their praise, right? And so, like Ashley said, no matter who you are in this life, it is your job to figure out who you are and how you want to exist in it. I mean, right now I'm 39. It feels like I was 20 yesterday, right? Time moves so quickly. So if you're not living the life that you want and you're not living a life that you enjoy, then I don't know what you're doing. I guess you're just going to work and watching TV, but that feels deeply sad to me. And the things I've been able to find and unearth, the areas that bring me true joy. And I think that that's a great place to live. So I would think I've given vulnerability. I'm not, naturally the most vulnerable person, but most of the things we want in this life, I found, are on the other side of the hard decisions we refuse to make. So I think show up as yourself and enjoy your time.
I have nothing further to add.
Okay. What message do you hope your visibility sends to young women or older women, especially those who may be questioned whether they're allowed to be fully themselves?
I mean, I think SCHMARRAH really just said it in her last answer. I think I would encourage someone to be... Sorry, I need to hear the question one more time.
Sure. What message do you hope your visibility sends to young women, especially those who may be questioned whether they are fully allowed to be themselves?
The message I would give was, don't cede your power. So much of our fears are paper tigers that we then, that we then move around and then we set our life upon. If you give people the power to criticize you in a way that dissuades you from your purpose, you've given too much away. And so coupling with that, I would also say then take up space. I think as women, we're sort of conditioned to be nice and polite, but we're not conditioned to take up space. And sometimes if, we'll look out into the community and we'll say, this needs to be done or this needs to be said. Well, you have a voice and you're here, so say it or do it. And, the worst that can happen is you get into a conversation and maybe you see a point that you didn't consider, but I think not giving up your power in a way that impacts your purpose is the most important.
The other thing I would also add to that as well is making sure that you get to know yourself, especially get to know yourself outside of what your roles might be. Like if there are moms listening, for example, that you're not just defined by being a mother, you're not just defined by being a daughter or a teacher or whatever those roles are. We are human beings, not human doings for a reason. So I think really doing that work to get to know who you are, what it is that you want out of your life and how you want to show up is really what would allow you to do all of the ththings that Shmarrah is saying. It's what will allow you to step into your power. And that is certainly a journey that is ongoing for me. I do not claim to have all of the answers by any means. If there's something that, someone could take away from looking at Shmarrah and I, it's that we're both open to being on this journey. We show up with our strengths, our weaknesses, and we just get at it every day, and walk with love and purpose and meaning. And we're committed to doing that individually and then coming together as a couple doing that. So that's what I would say.
Thank you for listening to For the Health of It. You've been listening to me interview Ashley CROWE and SCHMARRAH McCarthy.
Yes.
This is part 1. Catch us on part 2 next week. Thank you for listening to For the Health of It. We are moving you to the life you want.
When I first started going to Healthcare Pharmacy, it was because it was convenient. But over the years, I continued to shop there because I trusted them. One day I was picking up my prescription, and the pharmacist noticed an over-the-counter medication in my basket. She said, "I hope that's not yours. It will interact with your prescription." And I thought, wow, thank you. Trust is so important when it comes to your health. Healthcare Pharmacy with 2 locations, Grand Harbor and Governor Square, where they care about my health.
If you or your loved one is facing cancer, only Sylvester will stand firmly by your side at every step, from diagnosis through survivorship, providing you and your family peace of mind and assisting with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center is South Florida's only NCI-designated cancer center and specializes in treating the most complex cancer cases. Your first-class cancer care is just a flight away. Learn more at sylvester.org.
Are you feeling anxious, overthinking, or stressed, struggling with sleep and focus? Your physical health may be suffering too. Research shows that stress directly impacts your well-being, making it harder for your body to heal. At the Lightroom, we're here to help you find your balance. Our unique facility promotes the theta brain state, which is your body's natural way to achieve restorative rest and repair. Visit us at the Lightroom, Pasadora Place in Georgetown, and let us guide you back to wellness, rediscovering tranquility and harmony, because you deserve to feel your best. Call us on 938-HEAL or book online at www.thelightroom.ky.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Refill and transfer prescriptions online. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky.
And UHealth, International University of Miami.
World-class healthcare in the heart of Miami.
The Lightroom, your holistic sanctuary for physical and mental restoration, repair, and rejuvenation. The power that made the body heals the body. 38 Pasadora Place, Georgetown. Find us online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I love this beat. What do you call it? We call it the cow itch.
I've tried the short roads to being a man. Beautiful, beautiful shoreline.
Okay, man, moon.
Cayman all-time favorites.
Poor old Robert. Poor old Robert.
Here he comes, Rosito, come to spray mosquito. All the girls in line, they say, Louis, please spray mine.
Cayman all-time favorites begins right now.